Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got myself into this situation.
Today, we're talking about money. If for a while you've been struggling to make ends meet, you've been trying to make money, but all it's seeming like is that you're going from hand to mouth, then this video is for you. I am here to help you. I'm going to teach you how I went from 0 to 10 million naira in 6 months. What's up, everybody? Doing already here. Thank you for tuning in again. If it's your first time watching, please, you might want to like and subscribe. I promise you won't regret this. This video, I envisage, is going to be a bit long because I have a tendency to talk a lot about things that matter to me, about subject matters that are very important to me. So you can get your pen and your paper or your notepad and let's write together. And I do not want you to just listen. I also want you to apply these things at the end of the day. And I'm looking forward to hearing your testimonies and how the teachings will help you to start to make money or generally to get better. So let's go. In our last video, 5 things I'm glad I know at 24, I spoke about the subject of money a little, and in this video I'm going to talk largely about it. Now the point of this video is not, oh, learn this skill, this is the skill to learn, oh, do this, go to Upwork, go to Fiverr. I'm just going to teach you principles. That's the most important thing, and once you know these principles, you can now be able to apply them going forward. Yeah. Now, there are several proven ways to make money, but I want to talk about 2 major ways. And these ways are the most fundamental things that you must know as regards the subject of money. The first thing is one we hear very often, but maybe we don't know how to apply it. Maybe we do not know the principle, or maybe people do not have time to explain. That's why I said this video is going to be long. So I'm going to talk at large about it, and I'm hoping that it's going to make sense. In fact, I know it's going to make sense to you. So imagine the whole world is a circle. Imagine the whole world is a pie chart, and different people have different segments or slices to themselves. If I'm to ask you at this stage of your life, what segment do you think is allotted to you? Me myself, I have not done anything, I have not gotten anywhere, but there's some principles that have worked and have gotten me up to this point that would help. And the thing is that if the person with the largest segment comes to you and says he wants to buy your segment for an insane amount of money, what portion or what return do you think you would get by selling the segment you own? That's the food for thought. Yeah. I'm going to call the first part, take your slice. Now, it's simple. Don't let us complicate these things. At that instance, the best way you could have made money, an insane amount of money like that, is to sell your slice. But how would you sell what you don't even have in the first place? Simply put, the best way to make money is to sell something. Now, I am a believer and I'm going to be quoting some scriptures or reading some scriptures as we carry on, because I want to prove to you that these things are principles that both believers and non-believers, when they apply them, they will work. I know you have heard people say sell something, sell this, sell that, and you ask yourself, what do I sell? I don't have good marketing skills. What do I sell then? But before we get into that, I want to tell you, as a Christian, if all you do is sit down and pray for God's blessings, that God should provide, or should send money, or should send manna, as in the case of the children of Israel, God can do that. But the best way for God to bless you is when there is something that He can multiply, when there's something He can bless. Now, there are different cases in the Bible of God's provision, and you will notice that there's a common pattern with God multiplying what already exists rather than doing it from scratch. Does that make sense? So you must have something that you are selling, you must have something that you're doing that, okay, when you now pray for God's blessings, God can just, oh, this thing, okay, I'm going to multiply it. If you are selling books, oh, I'm going to multiply this, increase the people that get this book, and of course that's more money. So it's easier. God can do everything. So the word easier is even to me somehow. God can do everything, but then a regular pattern we see in scripture is that there's something available, then God multiplies that thing. Now there are 2 instances, the case of the children of Israel and the case of the ravens bringing meat and bread to Elijah, where I don't even know where the ravens get meat and bread from, but the case of children of Israel, this one came down from heaven, like it was plain in the Bible. But how many times did stuff like that happen in the Bible? Instead, there were different times that there was always something on ground and God multiplied it, God blessed it, and it multiplied and it increased. Now let's quickly look at some of those instances. Now in the case of 1 Kings chapter 17 verse 8, I'm not want to read, that's Elijah and the widow of Zarephath. Yeah, I want to read the whole scripture, but also Elisha in 2 Kings 4:42 to 44, then Jesus feeding the 5,000, then Jesus feeding the 4,000. Does that make sense? It should. It probably should. Then when God is to bless you, He looks for that thing that is in your hand. He will ask you one question, which is the same question that He asked Moses when He called Moses. He said, what is it that you have in your hand? And it was through that rod that Moses had in his hand that was able to perform those miracles. He used that rod to perform the miracles, that God used him to perform. Even though there were instances that He didn't need to use the rod, right? But then there has to be something in your hand if God is going to bring increase, if God is going to bring multiplication. Now, when the Spirit is moving, maybe it's looking for who to bless, looking for something to bless around you, it looks for something that is possible for Him to multiply. And when He says that thing, when the Spirit of the Lord comes upon it, it's going to boom. But if there's nothing, you're going to be short-changing yourself a lot. Now, I will try as much as possible not to watch this. I already said this video, passive is going to enter an hour. I'll try to make it not so, but passive is going to enter an hour because there's a lot to learn in this regard. It's not enough. Okay, fine, you need to get skills, but it's not enough to just have skills. What do you do with those skills? And every other thing that I'm going to explain in this video, I'm trying not to go ahead of myself. And in cases like this, I always have my notes prepared so I don't miss any part of it. All right, so there's no doubt that God blesses, but we can limit the extent of His blessings with our own hand. At the end of the day, you must have a point of contact that when the Spirit of the Lord touches that thing, it can then boom. I've heard different stories of men of God that it's because of what they are doing that God blesses them, that God multiplies them. See, you can't just sit down idle. I believe you should know this by now. You can't just sit down idle and expect that God will God is not a magician. God is a very principled God. I hope you know that. It's not a magician, it's a very principled God. Yeah. So in this case, nowadays and time, what will you call that thing that is in your hand, like the rod in the case of Moses? You must have a value you are offering. Now, the money you need is in the hand of someone. See, money is a crazy subject. And that's why I am glad in our churches nowadays we discuss this subject. It's a crazy subject and people won't just give you their money. Money is sweat and blood. People won't just give you their money if you don't offer anything. So you must have a value you are offering. You must have a value you are rendering. You must sell something, whether online products or physical product. You must sell something. You must offer a service. At the end of the day, you are giving it in exchange for what has cost them something to get. So of course, it must have cost you something to be able to get what cost them something to get. Does that make sense? That leads me to the next point. You also must have gotten to that place where you can say money is sweat and blood. Okay, where you know that you have put in your sweat, you have put in your blood, you have labored hard to acquire the skill sets that you have, you have labored hard to render the service you are rendering, you have labored hard to accumulate the time you have spent to accumulate the experience that you have so you can offer it and get it in exchange for money. Now this sounds basic, but I really wouldn't want us to assume that we know these things and just jump like that. This is where a lot of people miss it, and I'm going to be talking about even more important things as regards this subject of skill, service, selling something, experience, and all of that we can use in exchange for money. And one of them is you can't afford to sit in the seat of convenience all your life. You can't afford to sit in the seat of convenience all your life. You won't always enjoy what it is you are doing. And this is very deep, and this is where a lot of people miss it. At the sensing of any inconvenience, at the slightest inconvenience, you want to move and look for what is convenient to do. That's not how it works. At the end of the day, you might have a lot of dreams and visions, but you won't necessarily get a scholarship or a venture capital firm that will just say, oh, come, I want to sponsor this, and your dreams and visions will, boom. It won't always work like that. I was talking with a friend recently, and I had to tell her that sometimes you would have to sit down and do what it is you're not convenient with, what you don't necessarily enjoy, 9 to 5, going to work every day just to accumulate enough money, to sponsor your dreams and visions. See, at the end of the day, you don't necessarily have to enjoy it. Scripture says, in all labor, there is reward. And you can't always sit in the seat of convenience thinking that, oh, I don't like how my boss is behaving, I don't like how this is happening, this guy does not appreciate me, and then you want to leave. It won't work like that. It won't work like that. Sometimes you would have to leave your feelings and get the work you need to get done. The moment I got to know this, it's as regards relationship, I got to learn this about marriage and relationship, where I learned that sometimes maturity is doing what you have to do regardless of how you feel. But that insight, I began to apply it to other areas of my life. And even if I don't feel like, the only thing I need to do is think what is at stake and speak to myself, and the next moment I'm doing what I need to get done. You can't always sit in the seat of convenience all your life. It's going to cost you a lot. See, sometimes I am an advocate. I believe in the grace of God. And I am a living testimony of that 100%. Maybe one day when I am more free, or when I feel the freedom to share my testimony in that regard. But brothers and sisters, sometimes you would have to be mad. Sometimes you would have to be crazy. Sometimes not even sometimes, you will need to work hard, really hard, especially when it's at the initial stage. You need to work hard, and at the end of the day, let me not jump, but you need to work really hard. And if you are here, you all you want is soft work. Even in that soft work, you're going to work hard. Soft work is going to be soft, where you're going to work hard. Actually, you're going to put in the work. You're going to put in the effort. It's not like someone will be getting it done for you. You're going to stay up all night. You actually have got to be mad sometimes, especially when it's in the initial stage. And based on the demand and responsibility that you have on you, sometimes you have to do multiple things at once. These things are not easy, but this is the blood and the sweat I am talking about. See, I have access to a couple of men of God or top people in this country, and I see them or I've heard them. Sometimes I just go to the status, click on status around 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 2 a.m., and these guys are still awake. Are you telling me that with all you have achieved, you still find it difficult to sleep? And that's the beautiful thing, that the higher you go, the more responsibility comes and the more work you must need to put in. Now, if the same hard work got you in the very beginning, you will discover that to sustain that level of riches, to sustain that level of wealth, you have to put in the same work, and not just the same work. You have to put in even more work to sustain and to increase the abundance that you have. And I don't know, we in this generation, as I said, we advocate for soft work. How do they put it in Yoruba? Ishekeke onla, like small work, plenty money. That will happen sometimes, but it won't always happen. And when it doesn't happen, don't think that life is being unfair to you. See, a lot of people are putting in a lot of work, and you must know that learn to see beyond your immediate environment. If you are someone that is always in search of jobs, even though you have one, that you're always in search of jobs, or your notification is turned on LinkedIn or job platforms, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you will discover that there are 100 applicants to one single job. Then what will make you stand out? What will make you stand out? We can't afford to sleep. Bible says a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. It's not like you won't sleep. It's not like you won't slumber. It's not like you won't rest sometimes. But when you have got to do those things, you've got to do them. There are times that there's a daytime, there's a nighttime. During your daytime, you would have to put in the work. And the fact is, even if the tenacity of work you put in during the day is not the same thing as what you do at night, as the Bible says in Exodus 14 now, talking about the children of Israel when they were leaving Egypt, there was a pillar of cloud by day and pillar of fire by night. That means every time, whether night or day, you have got to keep moving. You have got to keep pushing. You do not have an excuse. You have got to keep pushing. And at the end of the day, most people that are at the top of their game, what happens is that night and day, at the end of the day, it feels like there's no difference to them, because the same amount of work you can do during the day is actually the same amount of work you can go do at night. Now, if you are someone that works remotely, I'm an advocate for you sleep your sleep, rest when you need to, and that is very important. But don't sit in the seat of ease all your life. Don't sit in the seat of convenience all your life. You have got to put in the work you need to put. Every single time you have to be moving. Okay, in all humility, the way I've structured my life is such that there's always something to do. Always. And if I feel like there is no work, I am always learning. Always learning. Always learning. And the fact is that before I could get my hands on some things, on the things I needed to do the work I needed to do, even before that time, I was watching a lot of videos, learning, at least building my mindset, growing my intellect, like there is a lot to do up here, even if you can't do things with your hand at that moment. There's a lot of growing, there's a lot of building that you need to do in your head. There's a lot of building you need to do in your head. And if you are one that you need to do multiple things, see, get those things done. At this stage of our life, I know they say that jack of all trades, master of none. But now, I'm going to explain something quickly. Talking about the skill to learn, talking about what to do, there are two ways that you can get to know what to do. I'm going to teach you those two ways. Number one is do everything. Now, this might be a bit controversial, but do everything. And the first time I heard this, like, it changed my life completely. In the case of John the Baptist, what he knew was that, like, Jesus was his cousin, right? What he knew was that he was going to baptize the Messiah, was going to baptize Jesus. And when he baptizes Jesus, there will be a witness from above saying, "This is my beloved son, with whom I am well pleased." But he didn't know who Jesus was. Now, he didn't sit down waiting to hear from someone who this Jesus is, then now go ahead and baptize him. What he did instead is that he established his tent or his place of work at River Jordan. So anybody that came, he baptized everybody and anybody. Now, we didn't sit down in his house and say, "Oh, I'll wait for when Jesus will be revealed to me. I will wait for when someone will tell me, oh, this is Jesus." He baptized everybody and anybody. And at the end of the day, when Jesus came, the Spirit came upon Jesus, and that was the witness he needed to know that this is Jesus. Listen, sometimes you might not directly hear that this is what you want, this is what you need to do. At that point in time, you don't know what to sell, you don't know the skill to learn. If it's available, get it done. You don't need to wait. Get it done. Get it done. You don't need to wait. At the end of the day, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, if you do this, at the end of the day, once something that will happen is that you will notice a trend that in this one, this is what I am doing more. Maybe this is bringing me X per month. Maybe this is bringing me Y per month. Oh, now I need to cut down on A, B, C so I can focus my time and energy and my resources in X and Y. Okay, then, okay, at the end of the day, you know that, oh, X is now taking a lot of time and a lot of demand. Now you can delegate Y out or give Y out, and then you focus, even though Y will still be bringing you something, then you focus your effort, focus your time, your resources on X. See, when you click that thing that you need to do, the Spirit of God will come upon it. I'm talking to Christians only, and then it will boom, and then you know that this is what you're going to do. Now, don't wait, God. See, I'm being careful because I said there are two ways. That's one way. Then the other way, which I call the more excellent way, is by knowing exactly what you should do. And I spoke about this in my video on purpose. I'm not going to go through all of that again. Knowing exactly what it is you should do. Now, by the time you know your purpose, you will know those things that your purpose at the end of the day is like an umbrella and or a tree that has different branches to it. I know that, okay, if I do this, it's still in line with my purpose. I can use it to build myself to this level. I can work under this person to this level. I can volunteer. I can render my services in this regard. And I know that it's still in line with my purpose. Oh, maybe that's A. Then you know that, oh, this is B. It's also in line. I can also do this. I can do this. And at the end of the day, you are building those skill sets that do matter. And at the end of the day, it's leading to the whole tree itself, and that is going to make more sense by knowing what it is you are meant to do. I will call that a more excellent way. But again, if it doesn't happen like that, my brothers and sisters, don't wait. Sell everything possible. Now, those that are in the fashion business, those that are selling clothes, that are doing well from selling clothes and all of that, they don't necessarily need to hear that this is what God wants me to do. God wants me to sell clothes. No, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't need to happen like that. Those that are selling courses online, you don't need to wait. You can render your service. You can teach something. You don't need to wait. Get it done. Get the necessary knowledge needed and get it done. You don't need to wait. If you wait, you'll be wasting your time. There is money. See, anyway, that you can make money out of anything. Now, I'm not talking like as though I have achieved, but I won't also speak like it's good to to just sit down and fold your hand and wait. Now, I am very benevolent by the grace of God. I have the grace for giving, and I can give. But rather than you coming to ask me for money, and if I have, I'm going to give, I will find the most joy in knowing that, oh, you also can grow in this regard. you also can go in this regard. See, it's not fair to just sit down. It's not fair on God to just sit down and be waiting for blessings. Get your hands dirty. Get your hands to work. And those times you can get your hands to work, get your head to work. Get your mind to work. Build, grow. Build, grow. Just make sure at the end of the day, you're not sitting down idle. At the end of the day, every single day, you should be able to pinpoint an added advantage, a added layer of block that's added to your building. Every single day, you should be able to, benchmark your growth. You should be able to mark, oh, I grew at this point. I grew by this today. I learned this today. See, at the end of the way time has been flying. I'm recording this video on 8th of August. The way time has been flying recently, it's been crazy. Now, another day is about to go. Like, there is no time. You see, a lot is at stake. Whether you make it or not, there's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake. See, talent is good. You can be very talented in an area. You can be very talented in a particular skill set. But you know even what's better? Dedicated practice. There's a book called Talent is Overrated that I'm reading now. I got to discover how even the top players, not football players necessarily, top players in their industry, in their spheres, are always putting in the work to get better. Dedicated practice is even better than talent. Hard work is better than talent. Years of experience, accumulating years of experience is better than talent. The more you know, the better chance you have of increasing in wealth, of growing in wealth. I know you can say you are talented in this area, but even with that talent, you have got to put in the work. And the fact is that it's inexhaustible. You can never get too good at what you do. At the end of the day, you would always still need practice. Now, the book I'm reading is speaking about how a particular chess player, I don't know, a lady, where a dad and mom, dad's a chess player, and mom doesn't really know, but they were doing an experiment that, you can be talented, but the better thing to do is when you put in years of work in learning that thing, then that's when you get at the top of your game. And I think from the age 1 or 2 or something, they started teaching their first daughter how to play chess, and from there, that was the only thing she was doing. And I think grandmaster level, what they call it in chess, she was able to rise to that level. At two sisters, one put in more work than the other, and the difference showed. You can never get too good at what you do. As I said, the world is a global village. See, there are a lot of people playing this game, and you must fight. Sometimes you will need to be arrogant. Sometimes you will need to do this like you are crazy. Let people think you are crazy. If you are putting in that work and they don't think you are too serious, or they don't think, oh, are you the only one? What's wrong with you? Or people don't see you and are inspired by you. Maybe there's something you are doing wrong. Don't fool yourself. And if God is going to bless you, God will not bless mediocrity. God forbid that you go and disgrace God. God will not bless mediocrity. And I know you have the anointing, but you've got to build the skill sets too. I know you have the talent, but you've got to put in that work. Okay, I know you got that job by connection. Yeah, but what's going to sustain you is not connection. If you're not providing value, if you're not bringing increase to the business, to the venture, to the firm, I'm sorry, your connection might not sustain you. You have got to put in the work to learn. Again, be very crazy about it. I'm a very big advocate for craziness when it comes to the pursuit of your vision, pursuit of your goal, or learning a particular thing. You have got to be crazy about it, because there are a whole lot of people doing what you do. Recently, my eyes opened to this thing. Twitter, I recently found out that you can program the algorithm in the sense to show you what you wanted to see. And now I'm a video editor, so every single swipe, let's say 5 swipes or 5 posts, I'm seeing a video editor with a post on this and that. And I know that there are people making $2,000 monthly, $5,000 monthly, $10,000 monthly in this same video editing field I'm doing. So what will separate them from myself? Now I know that I can't sleep. Honestly speaking, I'm going to be very honest with you. It can get intimidating. It really can get intimidating. But that's when you must know what is sponsoring you, whether it's the money or the influence that you're seeking, or whatever it is that chooses to sponsor you. Maybe your daily bread you just want to eat. Maybe that's what's sponsoring you. And at that point, you discover that, let's say you're at $500 per month. You might get comfortable at that point, right? Because that's enough for you. That's been enough for you. But there is always more. And people like us, it's not the money that is sponsoring us, but we know that we need money to be able to push the vision further. We need money to be able to do some things that broke people cannot do. Basically, So we'll fight for this space, we'll fight for money, we'll fight for a lot of things, we'll get better at this particular skill set, because this is what, for me, this is what God has chosen to bless at the moment, and He's blessing it a whole lot. He's blessing it a whole lot. To the glory of God, He's blessing it a whole lot. Please fight for space. Don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself. I was watching a video of Kevin Hart recently, and he says when they get to his office, nobody is permitted to sleep. You can't get to his office and sleep. You'd rather go out if you're feeling sleepy, go take a walk or come back or something. And with the amount of influence this guy has achieved, the kind of level he has gotten to, I saw from that video how hard this guy still works. Now, he's a very funny guy, very jovial guy, but when it comes to work, he doesn't joke with it. And it reminds me of Chris Rock. There was a comedy show he was having, and you know that in preparation for that comedy show, he taught different states or different comedy clubs or comedy houses to perform jokes, and he was noting people's reaction to those jokes, and he would go back and study them. Even people that are still at the top of their game, this is how they think. This is how they think. Oh my God, David has a lot to do. And if you must know from one thing, when I am speaking like this, I am also speaking to myself. If you have watched my videos, sometimes when I'm unmotivated, I go back to my Instagram page and binge watch my videos, and before I know it, I'm back on my feet. There's a lot to do. We can't afford to sleep. If it matters to you, if we can't afford to sleep. Now, the next thing I'm going to talk about is as regards working on your head, working on your mind. Now, you have got to stop thinking small. You have got to stop thinking small. And that's why I said it's dependent on what your motivation is. You have got to stop thinking small. When I was talking about the fact that you're not competing with your immediate environment, see, there's a lot at stake. That slice or that share of the circle or the pie that you're competing for, a lot of more people competing for it. There are 8 billion people in this world. Over 8 billion. Oh my God. 1 over 8 billion. Let's say I am 1. 1 over 8 billion is I don't know. There are a lot of people competing for that same thing that you're competing for. Imagine applying for a job, at least 500 applicants, and they're going to pick just 1 or 2 people. You can just imagine the amount of work or see, there are a lot of people, and you must get to a place. God is helping me. God will help all of us. You must get to a place where when you show up, you become irresistible. People can't deny the presence of this person here. That's where I am striving towards. When you show up, you become irresistible. And that's why people get the perspective about me that I'm too serious. Maybe I am, because I know there's a lot at stake. I know there's a lot I've not achieved. I am 24 years. 25 is the next year. I am not a kid, right? So there's a lot at stake. There's a lot to do in the little time that I am. Now, this is not putting myself under pressure, but it's also telling myself that I need to be on my toes. I need to be on my feet every single time. I need to be on my feet every single time. And I was remembering recently that it's been very early since I started thinking this big. And I'm going to tell you, the fact is, I was speaking to my friend, Simi Babs, when we had the interview with her. You see the video talking about the Playboy, whatever. I told her that I really can't remember the person that made me start thinking in this regard. I think it was, I would say it was an impartation. Like God Himself planted that vision of large thinking in my. Sometimes, I sometimes even with that, I think small. Sometimes you can get so comfortable. I would think that you just say some things are not possible, and that's why I'm always watching. See that picture behind me, those people that you see on it. The fact that I chose them, one thing I do is I know their story. Yeah, I know how they got to where they are. At least I've heard them share their story, and what they are doing now is not where I want to stop. It's where I am supposed to start from. So I have not gotten anywhere until I get there. And even when I get there, that's when I know that the work is now beginning to start. Oh my God. There is a lot to do. See, as a Christian, as a believer, and that even makes it more serious, because the people of the world are pushing their agenda, they're pushing their propaganda so much. And if we don't wake up and fight for space, there will be nothing left for us. There will be nothing left for us. Fellow believers, fellow Christians, there's a lot to do. In the sphere of influence, in your jurisdiction, in your government, in family, in media, in entertainment, in religion, whatever it is, there is work to do, and you have got to fight for space. Stop thinking small. Stop thinking small. Recently, I did a video on Instagram talking about the fact that there are three categories of greatness, and the third is the most difficult to achieve. Talking about skilled men, king and kingmakers. I'm just going to play that video so we all watch it, and then I'll come back to talk about it later. Of greatness, and most people only end up in the first level their whole life. I call everyone skilled men. It is a fruit of being very good at what you do. Says that a man diligent, skillful, and experienced in his work, he will stand before kings and not before mean men. This level requires a lot of hard work and dedication, but it still is the easiest place to get to. It is very easy to settle here if your motivation is money, just so you can take care of yourself and your family. Level 2 takes you further. Now you do not only stand before kings, but you are now a king yourself. For you to get here, you must have gone through level 1 for a good period of time, such that you are now a regular in the midst of kings. You don't classify yourself as one if you're relating with kings as being just a one-time thing. A typical example is Joseph, who constantly was at the top of his game, whether in Potiphar's house or in the prison. No wonder he was crowned immediately he got to the palace. Here, your motivation cannot afford to be money alone. You have got to desire influence and impact. Level 3 is the one where most people do not get to. It is the most difficult and dangerous level to be in. I call it the kingmakers. It is dangerous because if you're not careful and God does not help you, you can begin to feel like a god. Of course, with a small g. Here are the things that can happen at this level. 1. You are the one who makes and counsels kings. 2. You can make anyone king, whether qualified or unqualified. Then 3. You can dethrone or cancel kings. This level comes with so much power that it is able to destroy you if not handled well. In your own sphere of influence, what do these 3 levels represent? And tell me, what level are you in now and what level are you aiming for? Now, watching from that video, you discover that there are some parts that are easier than the other. But for me, and for those that think like me, we won't stop. After we have become regulars in front of kings, we are now kingmakers ourselves. And as I said, this is dangerous. If you are not firmly rooted in the word of God, if you have a personal relationship with God, it's the easiest stage for you to deviate from God. But God, I trust that God will keep us. Again, guys, there is a lot to do. And you know what? Sometimes you are putting, and this is the point I was for a long time. See, God is too faithful. Let me just tell you. God is too faithful. Sometimes you are putting in so much work. And it's not looking like it. You have got to have. I'm going to play another video now. This wasn't the plan, but let me just play this video again. I'll come back to talk about it later. This that we do not talk about too often. It's called approval addiction. It occurs when you constantly seek validation or acceptance from people. And in the case you do not get it, it affects your self-esteem and lowers productivity. See, in many cases, it would seem like no one understands what you are doing or no one understands the vision, and so you are not getting the attention you think you deserve. One thing you must learn to do is encourage yourself in the Lord. Even David needed it. The vision you are running with, in and of itself, should be strong enough to keep you going. It's not the easiest thing to do, but you must get to a place of doggedness and tenacity in the pursuit of your purpose. At the end of the day, whatever you are doing, you are not doing it because of others, you are not doing it for others. You have a destiny to fulfill and it must be fulfilled. Leave whoever doesn't understand to play catch up. When it all comes together, they just might choose to join the train. You must get comfortable with people not liking you. Not everyone has to like you. Disclaimer, don't put in so much work with an intent to show those that didn't believe in you that you told them right from the very beginning. Let your motive be right. Yeah. As I said, you have got to get to that place of doggedness and tenacity as regards the pursuit of your purpose. Whenever it's working, when it seems like it's working or it's not working, you have to keep at it still. You have to keep at it. You have to keep at it. People of God, you have got to keep at it. You must get to that place of whether people are supporting you, whether it's looking like it's producing fruit. Just trust that this is what I am meant to do and I am doing this. I've applied all the principles I know. Okay, I can seek for more counsel, but even at that, I have got to still be patient and put in the work I need to do. See, and one of the things you can do for yourself, you can do to help yourself, is while you are waiting for that big breakthrough, while you are waiting for that big break, you must learn about money. At the end of the day, the money does not come and you squander it and you waste it. This is one very important thing that I didn't even script. You must learn about how to treat money. Bible says money has wings. It can fly. At the end of the day, in all you do, make sure you are dogged. Make sure you believe and trust God to the fullest. If you put your money in riches, if you put your money in wealth, it's going to fail you. It's going to fail you. And that's why I said in my last video, when it comes to the issue of money, it's very easy for people to tell when your trust is in money than when it's in God. It's very easy for people to tell when your trust is in money. And you know what? In your waiting season, while you are waiting, be ready to grab any opportunity that comes your way. Be ready to grab any opportunity that comes your way. See, you must get to that place of confidence in your skill set, confidence in your knowledge, confidence in the service you're rendering, confidence in what you sell. That see, it's not. And I think they say before you say you have gained mastery in a particular regard, you must have put in 10,000 hours of work into that thing. I've not gotten anywhere near that 10,000 hours, but I've put in 10,000 hours of work into that skill set. Let's get to that place of confidence. That means you must have put in the work. Now, when some people come to you and speak to you, the fact is that they may not have the experience in years that you have, but when it comes to selling themselves, when it comes to they making you think that they are confident, they have mastered that. And this is there's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn. There's another part of selling. See, be very loud about what you do. It's your work. No one is going to market your goods for you. No one is going to publicize more than you do. Be very loud about what you do. Whether they are helping you repost or they are not, my brothers and sisters, carry it on your head. Maybe when they now see your passion or they see how serious you are about pushing that vision, maybe they can now get on the ship and help you. But for you, nobody is going to carry your vision on their head more than the person God gave the vision to. Be very loud about what you do. Be very loud about what you do. There's something I want to talk about again. Please, people can tell when you are confident in your skill sets. People can tell when you are confident in what you are selling. People can tell when you are confident in that your service. Sometimes you may not have it, but they don't need to know. Sometimes you may not know what to do, but they don't need to know. Carry yourself like you know what it is. Carry yourself like you know the value of the service you are rendering. Carry yourself. That's where the packaging comes into place. Be very loud about what you do and carry yourself like you know what it is that you're doing. You're welcome. Now, the second to the last thing I want to say is, as I said recently in one of my videos, that it's in your purpose that you find the most power. It's in your purpose that you find the most essence. And when it comes to money, as I said earlier, there's some things that you will need to do that you don't necessarily enjoy, but they will need to sponsor your vision. They will need to sponsor your dreams, the big dreams that you have, and you need to get those things done. But in the last sense, even with all the money you are getting, you find the most fulfillment in your purpose. And that in itself is greater than money. You find the most fulfillment in your purpose. Now, there's another part to this which I wish I could talk about, but that's very important, even more important than this one. I could say it's more important about this one, but that's the spiritual side of money. As I said, money has wings, it can fly. Scripture says that I'm the Lord your God, it's me that gives you power to get wealth. See, there's the spiritual side to money, and that cannot be, you can't underestimate that part. Now, I am not going to talk about that now. I'll probably leave links to sermons that have taught me in that regard, that have helped me to know what to do with my money, to sustain it, to keep it, the right way to handle money. I'll probably just leave sermons in the description to help you understand that principle to know how to cage money, and not just to cage money, to multiply it. There's a lot of this, and I started learning it, was it 2 years ago or last year, and by God's grace, it has helped me a whole lot. Like I can't even, that's helped me a whole lot. Now, if I'm to mention one thing, and to take me back to point one, is that I said take your slice, but don't eat it. Simple as that. Take your slice, but don't eat it. Now, this just saying that there's a lot of layers under it, but I think I will just stop there. It's a whole new level of insight. Now, this is not about learn this skill, this is the skill to learn. I'm not going to, that's not the point of this video. So that will be all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have learned something. Please let me know those things that you have learned in the comments section. I'll be looking forward to your responses and looking forward to your replies. Now, I noticed that the last video I did that I edited a lot was around 10 minutes. I tried to keep it short, but the engagements were not encouraging compared to the very long videos I've done. So I've decided, I'm just going to be doing the videos as they are coming. If I need to teach sometimes, I'm going to go ahead and teach them. I'm not going to come and talk. I'm going to go ahead and talk. Yeah, I hope you've been blessed. I hope you've learned something. Now, maybe when I am released, I'll talk about the spiritual side of that money, of making wealth in that regard. But please share this video with those that have a strong head and you think they will need to hear this. And if you've watched until this point, thank you so much. But don't forget to like, subscribe, so that to push the video so more people can see it. I'm David, you can call me Naira, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, and peace.